Monday Scrum.
Well, and welcome to the Monday Scrum. A different looking crew this week. Emma Lawrence in for Adam Peacock. We do have James Graham and Jason Demetriou, but Reedy and Peacock have got the junket of all junkets going to the Olympics. Reedy, honestly, is there anything Reedy doesn't get, Jimmy? Whatever he wants, he gets.
For me, it's about priorities in life. And, they'll come crawling back to rugby league and it'll still be here and we'll take them in because that's what we do as a game. They see the bright lights of the Olympics, Paris. Reedy will be coming back with his beret and stripy shirt and onions as a necklace. Garlic everywhere.
Onions?
Yeah,
as
that's
a necklace?
That's what the garlic necklace that the French have. It's just, and he'll be like, oh, just blah blah blah, and like Reedy, mate. I don't know. It's just our game is so forgiving, so welcoming. Maybe we need to revisit our values and go, well, if you're going to go to the Olympics, you're not coming back, but we will. Maybe.
JD, are you surprised that so many rugby league journos got a start? I mean, Michael Chammas is over there, Dave Riccio.
Yeah, they're all over in the States early in the year, weren't they? So
they did. They got two junkets.
It's been a good year for them, but I don't know about Reedy because it's a bit like a player's mindset when it comes to handing your spot over. You don't want to give it up because his Monday Scrum show, he might not be here when he gets back. So it's over to Emma to take his place.
Well, they might both be gone by the time the Olympics is over. But we've got lots to talk about. Did you enjoy the weekend of footy, Jimmy? Round 20, all done and dusted.
Yeah, it was an excellent round of football. I think there was some games that stand out. That Storm game against the Roosters really showed what the Storm were all about. And then obviously the comeback of two players in particular, Adam Reynolds and Nathan Cleary. What a difference to their sides that they make. And it's Origin is done and dusted now, and we get this the race for the finals. And there's so many games that over the weekend and the weekends to come that will be so consequential in if teams make the 8 or not, and whether or not they can jostle for a home final. So it's really exciting time of year for everybody in Clubland right now.
JD, it's probably no surprise that Nathan Cleary returned in the fashion that he did. The Prince of Penrith out for 10 weeks with a hammy injury and then slots a 2-point field goal for Penrith to win the game.
Yeah, what a player. Enough accolades have been said about him, but they'll keep being said about him. He's still only young too. That's the crazy thing about Nathan. And, they did it without 6 of their best. It's scary. It really is for the rest of the competition, watching how they were able to come back and beat the Dolphins from behind without 6 of their best not playing. And it bodes well for them. I think this is, as Jammer said, this is the time of year where Origin's over and the big dogs start, showing their teeth, start putting their foot down and making a run towards the finals. And you saw that straight away from Brisbane. The energy in their performance with having Adam Reynolds back was electric. You saw what it did for Ezra Mann and what it did for Reece Walsh as well. So, and the Storm, I thought the Storm were impressive, very impressive. I know we'll talk about the Roosters later, but yeah, really impressive to see what they were able to do, and they showed that they're probably the team to take it to Penrith.
So the Storm have been doing, incredibly well considering they've been missing Munster. He should be returning this week. Nelson's not there as well, but the fact that Cleary is slotted back in, they didn't have the majority of their Origin players. Do you see Penrith at the front runners at this stage, or potentially the Storm?
Oh, Penrith is still the team to beat. You're not going to win well, I shouldn't say that because someone could beat them in the semi and then you avoid them. But they are the team to beat. Yeah. They are way and above the benchmark with the quality of football that they play. They very rarely beat themselves. They've still got the best to come back in players like Isaiah Yeo, Jerome Luai, who will be brimming with confidence from that New South Wales series victory. They've got motivation in the fact that Fisher Harris and Luai are moving on like they have in previous years. It's hard to see past them, but there are some people jostling in the background, some clubs jostling in the background that have got them in their target, and they'll be coming for them. So it's such an exciting time of year. It really is, and there's still some twists and turns to come. There's think back to last year when both the Roosters and the Knights went on these incredible runs to make finals. Is there a team that are going to have the bye or have that line in the sand moment, that meeting where we put all the chips in and we go after it and we play to our potential? So there are a couple of teams that I think have the potential to do that, but it's a tough task. Easy to say, very difficult to do, but like from a pundit and as a punter, it's so exciting.
The Roosters have had a great year, and many saying this is maybe their premiership window closing, given so many players are moving on. Tough loss to the Storm, but potentially, JD, what is concerning going forward is their record against Melbourne and Penrith. So, I mean, you probably don't internally read a whole lot into stats, but they've only got one win in their last 20 against the Storm and Penrith. Do you think they should be concerned at all with that record?
I think it's concerning, yeah. I think I had no idea till it was mentioned over the weekend. I heard it and I was like, wow, for a team like the Roosters, that's an alarming stat. But I thought Trent Robertson handled it well in terms of how he addressed it after the game, and they've got to take their learns from it. They've got 2 games this year they need to take something from. But for me, with the Roosters, the most disappointing part of the performance was they had an opportunity to almost cement themselves in the top 4. And now they've opened the door for Manly and the Sharks and teams like that to take a spot off them. So they're not guaranteed the top 4. That's how important that result was for them. And sort of feel like they're looking at the ladder a little bit and seeing that they've still got a bye and that's going to help them out. But, bye's only good if the teams around you get beat. So, it's a disappointing loss for the Roosters.
With that stat, JD, of only beating Penrith or Melbourne, is it once in the last
20?
In the last 20 games. Like, how much of a picture does that paint, and how much of a realization of as a coach do you go, well, we've got our style. It clearly doesn't seem to be getting results against the teams that are up the top. Would there be some questions being asked in and around the camp? Do you think that maybe we need to just slightly tweak how we play? Because the way we play is getting results on a week-to-week basis, but when we play these 2 big dogs, it doesn't seem to be getting us the desired outcome.
Well, what are we playing for? Every team at the moment is going to be playing to win a premiership, those teams, especially those teams at the top, and they've created an opportunity for themselves to sit back and go, okay, what do we need to improve or tighten up? I've said it before, in the run-in to the finals. In my view, everybody is sitting there thinking, does our game beat Penrith? Fundamentally, that's what everybody should be asking themselves. Can we beat Penrith? Does our football beat them? And if not, what do we need to improve on or be better at so that we get in the fight with these guys? Because if we don't, then Penrith is going to keep doing what they do, because the only thing stopping Penrith at the moment is Penrith. If they're fit and everybody stays on the field, it's going to be a huge challenge. I think Melbourne beat them 8-0 early in the year.
Round 1.
Yeah, statistically, we're beaten in a lot of areas. Conceded nearly 2,000 metres, more line breaks conceded, but they took their chances and they covered well. Are they going to get that opportunity again? Conceding metres and letting Penrith dictate field position. So they're little things that they can tighten up. But yeah, for the Roosters, it's Melbourne scored the best. They're the best at scoring ad-lib tries. Like if there's a bit of ruck speed, Grant, Munster's not playing at the moment. Hughes or Pappenhausen sniff a chance. They turn it into points better than anyone else. And the disappointing thing for the Roosters was they became very disjointed in their line, trying to solve it as individuals. That's not going to help you against the Storm. They're going to get points. And they did. They scored. Every try they scored wasn't off great shape. It was off a bit of ad-lib, bit of footwork, boom, second phase, off we go.
How far off Penrith and the Storm are they?
Well, looking on the weekend, they're fair way off. But I thought the Roosters were well below where they've been. And that can happen. But this time of year, it's, I think it's probably a good wake-up call for them to go, yeah, we're going okay, but we've still got a bit of work to do here to get where we need to get to. They've still got the team, I think, that can trouble the Storm and trouble Penrith.
Yeah, like I say about those tweaks, like their discipline let them down. Obviously, 2 sim meetings. The Storm had one as well, but that's a large time of football to be playing with only 12 players, and even their completion rate and the penalties that they seem to be willing to concede. They've always been a team like that have played in and around that red line and maybe haven't respected the ball, but that's not mattered because they just dig in for one another. But against some of these teams that are experts in grind style football. You invite so much pressure onto yourself. So when I've watched them live against the Penrith Panthers previously this year when Nathan Cleary was missing, Penrith play a real grind style of game and better than anyone. But I don't know if the Roosters can play that way, but they're happy to chance things. They're happy to be ill-disciplined, and I just wonder whether or not they need to figure out a hybrid style of play that is more grind-based and more percentage-based in terms of their discipline and their willingness to give away penalties.
I think for them, they've based their style on that second phase and that play for play. They're happy to go offload to offload, and they're playing that up-tempo game, which is less structured than the Roosters have been over the last few years. But what happened on the weekend is they got scored against and they went behind on the scoreboard, and they become scoreboard pressure. And I think at times they can be ill-disciplined, especially if they're under pressure. When you saw that, and Fabian goes in the one team you don't want to be playing in Melbourne is Melbourne with a man down. Because they're like Brisbane. They can just turn a try from anywhere on the field. They'd be one of the best teams. I'd call it between the two 30s. So you're 30 metres off your line and 30 metres off their line. In between that area, a lot of teams play quite safe, whereas Melbourne will kick from there. They'll shift it off and offload. Like, they're so good at turning half chances into tries, and they do it. And they've been doing it even without Coates. Anderson on the weekend, you saw the try he's got. Harry Grant gets out of 9, runs across the field, a lot of space around the ruck, throws an offload on the ground. Grant picks it up, steps inside, runs 50 to score. Like, you just don't see them tries all the time. So, but Melbourne can do that. You know, I'm testament to that. They can open the game up as quick as anyone. But I think for the Roosters, they've got to trust their style. Their style's got them to where they are. You know, they're not going to go around second guessing it because this stats come out about Penrith and the Storm. But at the same time, they've got to be honest and go, okay, we weren't at our best on the weekend. Does our best beat them? That's a question they'll have to answer.
It was good to see the Storm players and even Craig Bellamy joking that Munster might have to come back in the Queensland Cup via East Tigers because that's how good they're going. Penrith and the Storm are clear front runners at this stage, as you both said. But the Cowboys and the Doggies, that was a great battle as well, and fighting for that spot in the top 8. So Cowboys now 8th. They've just snuck in, but equal on 24 points with the Bulldogs, Dolphins, and Dragons there. So it's such a tight race. But, Jimmy, that was a crucial win for the Cowboys' finals hopes. And considering they had players like Tommy Dearden backing up and had an incredible game after that Origin loss.
Yeah, huge win for the Cowboys. And just to put it into context, they are now on 10 wins. So they've got to win more than the Bulldogs and the Dolphins. Same number of wins as the Eels, the Manly Sea Eagles, although they do have a draw. So the Cowboys are looking good. It was a great victory for them. Bailey Hayward, that was a big moment where he went so close towards the back end, and then the Bulldogs took the 2, but the Cowboys just had enough to get home. The Bulldogs defensively were enormous, again, like they have been all year. They're not a side that are going to go away, but it was a big test for the Cowboys because they didn't. They kept on fighting in there. I think for the Cowboys now, they'll be one of those teams alongside Manly that will have both the Roosters and the Sharks in their sights and go and looking for that top 4. This weekend's game that Manly play the Roosters is going to be very crucial. The Cowboys, they're just going along nicely up there. They had a indifferent start to the season, a little bit of pressure on top 8, and the Jason Tamalolo issue always seems to come to the forefront of the conversation when things aren't going well up there. They had that leadership change, but they're in a good position now. They're in a really positive position. They only need to come to Sydney twice. The rest of the time, they're based up there in Townsville, so I think they come to Leichhardt, and then they also come and play the Bulldogs down here in Sydney as well. So they've got an opportunity there to go on a real run, like we spoke about the Cowboys and the Knights and Roosters from last year, and go and look and attack this, and they'll be aiming for a top 4. Like within those 4 walls, they'll be thinking, if we look after ourselves here, doesn't matter about what anyone else does. They're playing. I think they'll definitely play finals, but their aim will be top 4 within the 4 walls.
Do you see both of those sides, Cowboys and Dogs, playing finals, JD?
Not both of them, no. I think the Dogs will struggle at the back end of the year.
Yeah, okay.
I do. I think, the loss of Max King is big for them as well. They're already down a few middles. He does a lot of work for them. I just feel like their inability to score points is going to hurt them in the back end of the year. The thing that's benefited the Bulldogs, I've got a bit of a theory on this, is that the weather over the last 2 months, the conditions, the rain, has created a slower game, which has allowed them to get their defence and out-muscle teams. But as the grounds start to dry up as we head into September and teams start freeing their hand, the game gets faster, start playing a bit more attack, they're going to have to score more points. Otherwise, they're constantly going to get into these golden point or losing at the death because they're not scoring enough points to put teams away. And I felt like on the weekend they had an opportunity up by 2 to take the tap and put them to the sword and try. They score there, the game's over. But they went for the 2, turn the ball over, not too long later, and the Cowboys go down and win by 2. So I think the Dogs' biggest issue is going to be, can they score enough points in the back end of the season to get enough wins to hold on to what they've earned so far is a spot in the top 8.
They've got 7 games to go, and for 13 wins, they need 4 more victories. I think they've got 4 victories in them. I really do, and I know what JD's saying. Max King is a big loss. Undoubtedly, he does so much work, but they've never been a team that are reliant on one particular player to get them home. They work really hard as a group together. The points issue, look, I understand that is an area that they're working on, but you can see points coming with Tracy, off Burton, with Cherry and Crichton and Kiraz, who can finish and kick out with the lines that he runs. I think there are points in them. They just probably need to unlock that, but the game is built on defence. So as long as they're defending like they are, they're going to be in with a shot. And that's the most important thing. I can't see a team blowing them away. I'll say that and watch Brisbane do that. So
at the moment,
the commentators cares.
They're by far the worst attacking team in the top 8. So when I say, I shouldn't say worst. They've scored the fewest points.
Yeah.
Right, and again, that's not their game. They base their game on their defence and getting in the grind and beating at the physicality. So my doubt is whether they can do that as the grounds firm up. So that'll be the challenge going forward, and staying healthy is going to be a key. That's why I really felt like if they could have held on to that win, would have been massive for their finals chances. Really would have been, because it pushes the Cowboys away from them. Now the Cowboys have come into them, closer to them, and now everybody underneath them, because Brisbane had a win as well. South had a win. So there's a lot of teams now and they're all going to play each other over the next few weeks too. So be interesting.
It's one of the tightest races we've had in a while. Crazy to think that the Broncos, last year's grand finalists, aren't even in the 8 at the moment. But it's time now for this.
Now, the WTF moment.
All right, Jimmy, what is your WTF moment of the week?
Yeah, well, down at GIO Stadium, the Canberra Raiders play the Warriors. Adam Fanua-Blake goes over, and you're thinking, we're on for Golden Point here, and poor old Harris Tavita. Like, you don't even know what to say. He was distraught, but it was a WTF moment. And the camera cut to Webster in the box, and like, he was calm. But that's every reason why I would never want to be a coach, JD. Like, I mean,
yeah.
mate, you know what? There's people at home that would be going, I could have kicked that. And you know what? You're probably right. But there's pressure, and you just throw your hands up. Like the Warriors, they were so close against the Dogs. That's a game that they lost. They were so close against the Melbourne Storm when Coates scored that try. That's just from memory. They had an opportunity to take the game into Golden Point against the Raiders. They scored 4 tries. The Raiders scored 3, so they've won in terms of that stat, which is usually a telling one. And then, yeah, just that poor old moment. You got to feel sorry for him, but it is if there's WTF, like, you're watching that saying those 3 words.
There seem to be 2 schools of thought. Those who just felt so sorry for him and thought, well, you know what? He's not their first choice, second choice, even third choice kicker. But then others that think, well, it doesn't matter. You're playing first grade. That's your job. He
has kicked a fair few goals. Like, he's kicked, I think from memory, over like 50. Someone read the stat out. It's not just like he's
been shoved in for the very first time.
Yeah, like Tane Milne had a few the other week, and it was like, oh yeah, you look like you just muck around at training. Cookie actually did all right on the weekend.
I
but
don't know why Cookie didn't kick the week before.
I know.
Cookie's by far the best option, and he kicks all the time. He's always wanted the opportunity to have a crack. So, he'd be thanking Tane Milne for getting a chance.
Well, poor old Harris Tavita, JD.
Oh.
What do you do as a coach?
Oh, you put your arm around him. The thing is, though, if you're a part-time goal kicker, I've had a few in myself in the time. The worst place to have a kick from was where he was.
Yeah.
Because you shouldn't miss. A goal kicker doesn't miss from there, and that's in your head. Oh, no, I'll nail this. But he's 0 from 3 from the same side. Now he's got it close to the post. His head's already gone. You could see just the way he kicked it. Like he just leant back. He didn't kick through the ball. He was hoping he could guide it over. But the real issue for Warriors, and I think as a coach, that's what I'd be stressing. I thought their start was poor. They were 14-0 down. They didn't come out of the sheds to start the game. There was no physicality in them, and they ended up having to chase the game. And, yeah, he had a chance to kick that goal, but Canberra, for that reason, were always had the scoreboard on their side. And, yeah, that was a disappointing try they let in to go behind. But, yeah, he won't be living it down for a while, that's for sure, the poor fella.
And, JD, what is your WTF moment of the week?
I don't like to pick on blokes who get in the ring and fight people because it takes some real effort. But I can't get my head around Jake Paul. I really can't. He's fighting a bloke called Mike Perry, who's had 22 martial arts fights. He's lost 11. He's lost 8, sorry. He's had 2 boxing fights and lost both. People are paying for this. It's pay-per-view. What the WTF? Who is paying for this?
Well, enough that they're putting it on, surely.
There needs to be an investigation around this. This is just not on. And then we're calling out Mike Tyson. He's 58 years old.
I thought he was supposed to be fighting Tyson.
He had an ulcer, so he had to pull out. That's what old men have. He's going to fight him next. Oh, and then he called out Pereira, who's just signed a 7 fight deal with the UFC. So he knows there's no way he's going to fight him. But I'll call him out anyway because it sounds good on TV. But I can't.
It's easy to call someone out when you know it's not going to eventuate, isn't it?
Yeah. So,
well, that's what I said about Maguire, saying, can we take the team bus down the Caxton Street?
Oh, because he knew it wouldn't happen.
Because you know it can't happen.
It's fun though.
Yeah.
You like your UFC and boxing and all that sort of stuff?
I love me boxing, yeah. I mean, I'm in a little bit to the UFC, but love me boxing. That's probably why it's me WTF, because I can't cop these non-boxers. But to be fair, he is getting better every fight. But just he's fought one guy who's a half decent boxer, and he's his age and his weight, and he lost. You know, the guy who fought on the weekend was 40 pounds lighter than him. He fights at 77 kilos. Jake Paul is 91. Looked about 95 on the weekend. So how the Boxing Federation even sanctions a fight like that, I mean, it's crazy, but it pays the bills, I suppose.
Would you ever get in the ring?
I would have loved to a few years ago. Definitely not now. Just to say you've done it. It'd be one of them things just to go, all right.
Challenge the body. It'd be great.
You do plenty of boxing as a footy player, especially in your rehab. And you all think when you're punching pads you can throw one, but as someone once said, everyone thinks they're a boxer until they get punched in the face.
Well, my WTF moment of the week, I know we touched on it already, but the amount of journos and media staff, even from non-rights holders, just everyone is going to Paris. Every man and his dog is over there. So Chammy and Reedy, I would like there to be some kind of, I don't know if it's a punishment or something. I don't know. I just think maybe let's take them off a few games or a few podcasts when they get back. Just to, again, I think they should have their priorities right.
Yeah, I'm with you, Emma. I hope there's lots of traffic around Paris for them. I believe the traffic
I think it's bad,
Yeah, I've already, you've heard it's causing dramas, so I hope they're late.
This is like the origin period, isn't it, for the journos now?
Yeah.
Because the young up-and-comers at Nine and Fox are going to get their opportunities to shine, and who knows, one of them might shine brightly and there's no spot when you get
Who's the Trey Fuller?
Yeah.
Who's too good?
Has Buzz not gone over? Saturday?
Is he? Wow.
Buzz Rothfield is legitimate on. Is this a
massive
debut for Buzz?
That is a massive coup.
Wow. Look at the smile on Charlie's
That
face.
is controversial. The Saturday show getting one up on the Sunday
Does that mean
show.
everyone else has to work for free that day because he takes the entire salary cap? Wow. I'll be tuning in for that one.
Yeah, me
Very
too.
excited.
It should be fun.
Moving on, though, and Manly, what a win it was at Brookie yesterday. I was there for that one. So much to like about that. Brooksy looks like he's just loving his footy. Turbo in good form and back to fullback after that experiment at centre, which was only lasted a week in the end. Yeah. Firstly, on Turbo, Jimmy, do you think he's probably not at his absolute peak, but showing really good signs, 3 games back now, that heading into the finals, we will see the best of Turbo?
Yeah, and that's when you want to see him. Manly are in that predicament now, like I say, where they are in touch and distance of the top 4. Huge game against the Roosters this week, which a team that they played earlier on in the year and was so impressive. Manly, the position that they're in at the moment, they'll be full of confidence because they've beaten some of the competition's front runners, including the Penrith Panthers at Brookvale. So they're confident they can mix it with the best of them. But I think they need a top 4, and they need Trbojevic at fullback playing close to his best if they're a chance. They've got some really good, strong, powerful forwards. Obviously, the combination of Cherry Evans and Brooks is started the season really well, tapered off a little bit, and was really good yesterday. So they've got the potential to do something in this competition, but they need Turbo at almost maximum come September. And I think that they're a side that would definitely need to do it from in the top 4. I don't think from outside the top 4 they're a team that can do it from there.
JD, I think most footy fans would be happy to see Brooksy doing well after what was a tough decade at the Tigers. And I know a lot of pressure always is going to fall on the number 7, but the fact that there's not much pressure on him at Manly, he just gets to focus on what he does best, his running games, scored that great try with that right foot step, and he seems to just be really happy and enjoying his footy.
Yeah, you can see that. Brooksy for me has always been a talent. As a coaching against him, he's one of the first people you talk about when you're playing the Tigers. And you can limit his running game, but now he's at a club where there's multiple people that, and you got to give Siebes a lot of credit as well. I think of the clubs that have been heavily affected by origin and injury, Manly have handled the period the best. They had no Jake, no Tom, no DCE, Olakawadu, and Olakwadu's now suspended, but they're still there fighting now to be in the top 4. So in the past, Turbo goes down, they don't win games. And this year they've shown they can. Lehigh Hopoate's come in. So there's guys that have come into the team that now Tom comes in. He doesn't come in after the side's lost 6 straight and they're under pressure. He's able to come in when the side's still functioning well and own his role and add to where the team's already going. So it's a big plus for Manly going forward that he's able to come in and add to what the team's already doing.
Did you see the Lehigh Hopoate's eye yesterday when he copped that knock?
Oh.
So they were saying when I was on the sideline, a potential fractured eye socket. But apparently when he came off and he went to blow his nose, all the pressure it all...
Yeah, that's not what you're not supposed to...
That's a sign of a fractured eye socket. Yeah.
So I think I used the
hold his nose. That's what you're not supposed to do.
And kind of the blood... And it's sort of the pressure released. I used the word exploded on Channel 9, which was probably too graphic, and Gus said there's a bit too much information. But yeah, it looked... When he came off, it looked very painful.
You two used to working with us at Triple M. We bring you down. And you go and work for the
I
big
thought, what's
dogs
wrong with that? I said, his eye exploded. They said, that's too much. Anyway.
Let's definitely play on here.
It is Sunday afternoon. I suppose kids are listening.
Of the facial injuries, it's probably one of the better ones. It looks bad, but it's only a 3 or 4 week injury too. So an eye socket's not as bad as it looks sometimes. So that's good news for him.
How good rugby league industry language? You know what? It's not. It's on the better end of the facial injuries to get. It's only 3 weeks. Yeah, it's only a fracture of his eye. It'd be right. It's only 3 weeks. Like any other industry, it's like, oh my God.
I know. Suck it up. Your eye exploded. It's only 3 weeks.
He blew it out. That's what you're supposed to do. Yeah.
It'll be a week on the sidelines. Then he'll be back running, training. Yeah. You just run over contact for a couple of weeks. He'll be right.
Yeah. All right. To finish off with the Broncos, Adam Reynolds back. And you started to get the feeling that, last year's grand finalists were going to miss the 8. And they still could, but look, the fact that Reynolds is back, you all of a sudden, if you're a Broncos fan, Jimmy, you just have a bit more confidence that he can steer them back into the 8.
Yeah, I think the game from the Broncos was a real all-in push. They realised just the severity of the situation that they're in. I think Reynolds was fast-tracked. I think Walsh and Carrigan were probably on the nose about whether or not they were going to play, and because of the predicament that they're in, that they sort of had to. So, very clunky first 15 minutes that game. Two teams that I think were playing not to lose, and a bit like unfamiliar with one another. Then Best goes down, and then the Broncos really clicked into gear and showed the competition what they're all about. But no doubt, Adam Reynolds has been sorely missed. And the Broncos are sitting there now, and they've just got to keep doing it. They had a really good performance against the Panthers. Didn't get the win. They were poor against the Dragons. Really good performance against the Knights for the last 60 minutes. So let's see what happens with them. But they've got their cattle back, and they're looking strong.
There's no doubt they've got the cattle to do it. But JD, have they left the run too late?
I think watch out.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think here they come. Like, everyone's been waiting for it, and I think you saw on the weekend the energy that it brings back. The other thing it does is teams will game plan against you when whoever you're playing against. What Adam Reynolds does, he has the ability to see that and change it and bring his other players into the game, and they are some most electric players in the competition. Their next few games are Bulldogs, Titans, Cowboys, into a bye. So they win those 3 into a bye, and then they go on Parramatta, Dolphins, and then finish with the Storm, who may rest half their team going into the final season.
Pretty favourable draw, isn't it?
So they win all those. They're coming into the finals off the back of some really good form. And if they can stay healthy, he gave the Origin players some rest after Origin 2. Cost him a loss, but it's going to pay him back now because that's what he needed. And you saw how important it was to them on the weekend. They couldn't wait to get out on the field as a team. And Kev, you'd just be going, thank goodness Origin's over. Get my boys back together. I think the rest of the competition will be looking over their shoulders. We're in a similar position last year, sitting just outside the 8. There's no doubt teams inside the 8 are thinking, man, we're hoping South don't make the finals, because that's one team that we know can beat us on their day. And everyone in the 8 will be looking down thinking the Broncos, we're hoping they don't make it.
You're right, JD. There's not a team in the 8 that would be disappointed if the Broncos don't make it, but then there are some teams in and around there in those games that you play that are going to be real danger fixtures. The 2 Queensland opponents speak volumes. I mean, the Cowboys and the rivalry that they have, that's going to be a huge game. And then the Dolphins as well. Wayne Bennett, what he would give to knock the Broncos out of finals contention. And, the Dolphins, the derby, the rivalry that's being built there is pretty special.
The Bronx are given hiding the last couple of times they've played them, so I think they view that game as Suncorp's our home. We'll let you use it, but this is our home. I think Katani Staggs pretty much said that when he ran over about 5 people and scored last time they played. So I just feel like these young guys that have gone through this tough period as well are going to be better for it come the back end, and that experience will help them if they get to finals as well. The last time the Broncos had this many young guys coming into first grade, they got a wooden spoon. When the Carrigans and Fleglers and all those guys are coming in, and you've got Willison, Piakura, Karapani, there's a heap of young guys still finding their feet, but now they've got some mojo back. If they win their next 3, watch out. But you're right, Jammer, they're not easy. They're going to have to beat them, but the Bulldogs are going to have to score 4 tries to beat the Broncos. You're not going to beat the Broncos at Suncorp unless you can score 4 tries. So if they can do that, they're going to trouble them, but that's going to be a big ask. They've still got to tidy up their edge defence. They're still inconsistent on their edges. If they tidy that up, again, Reynolds' experience will help with that. If they do that, then they'll start putting scoreboard pressure on other teams.
Having worked with Reynolds, do you genuinely think like his presence before he's even gone out and done anything on the field, like there's this aura in the change room and everyone has more confidence because they know that Renault's back?
It's the aura's through the week.
Yeah.
By the time you kick off, because every training session there'll be things that didn't go quite right. And Renault's the kind of bloke that'll debrief that, own it, next training session, fix it. So by the time you get to a captain's run, you know exactly what your role is. You know where you're at. That's what experience brings you. Everyone thinks it happens on the weekend. It's through the week where the experience is most important. You can't play the game for your teammates when you're out there, but you can help them through the week, get ready to play clear their minds, get them focused on what their role is. I think we saw, was it Walsh who went through and then Ezra Mann back up on the inside? Where was it who went through? Might have been Mariner. Mariner come back in straight through the middle. And then Ezra Mann there's been times over the last few weeks where there's been that much noise around him. He's overthinking things and he's been nowhere to be seen when there's been breaks. But when his head's clear, he's just playing footy and he's playing instinctively. And that's what Adam brings to him. But again, through the week, he will be nailing their prep. And he's so good at it and he's so experienced. And you can't buy experience. You can hope that someone has it, but you only get it by playing games. And he's going to the challenge for them is to keep Adam fit. Yeah. You know, he hasn't played a length of games now, so keep him fit, manage him week to week, get him right through the rest of the season.
Big week of footy coming up, round 21. Yes, Jimmy?
I was going to do Reedy's mail for him.
Oh,
That's a good
okay.
idea.
Let's do it.
Can we get the jingle?
Read about it.
I've got it ready to go.
Reedy's mail.
Yes, we're just on Stefano Ikamanu. Still not quite sure what he's going to do. The Tigers have put in an offer. Melbourne Storm are, still keen if they can move Big Nelson around. And Nelson actually put up a weird post the other day, and no one really knows what's quite going on with him in there. So we're still unsure about that. Expansion on the cards. Expect to hear an announcement pretty soon. I'm hearing Papua New Guinea or Perth. Outside chance of a second team coming from New Zealand. The grand final. Locked in for Sydney. Who knows? Brisbane might take it off them in a couple of years' time. But they're strong favourites to keep that. I'm hearing that the New South Wales government are really keen to lock that one away. Expect to see some more talks with Peter V'landys. Zach Lomax, is he going to backflip? We're not hearing much out of that. Jason Riles has said he wants to keep him. And just on Parramatta, they've told a couple of players that they'll be free to move on. So that's it for Reedy's mail.
So just to clarify, was there any real update in there?
No. It's just all a bit of,
So that sounded exactly the same.
Yeah,
that was spot on.
So, Reedy's there on his jollies. Be warned, we can all do Reedy's mail.
Be warned. We can host, we can do the mail, we can do everything. So, guys.
The Monday scrum's gone, Reedy.
Enjoy the Olympics. We'll see you back never.